Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. I am Chati Ambarsari with college number 2010-205006 from English Education. Here I am from 10 group with our member is first Dini Lorenza, second is Dian Laila, third is Naifa Melia, and the last is Oktri Salsabila. So today we want to present to you about our material, and the first until third material will be present by me. So happy watching. First material is about using should. Should is the auxiliary verb or modal verbs in English, and the formula of using should is subject plus should and plus verb. And there are three forms of using should. First is affirmative forms. In affirmative forms, should cannot be used with another modal verbs. For example, I should may visit John's grandma. It false, but the truth is I should visit John's grandma because may is the another modal verb, and in affirmative forms we cannot use should with another modal verb. The second form is negative form. In negative form, we cannot use don't, doesn't, or didn't because the formula is subject plus should plus not plus verb. For example, Clara shouldn't go outside without face mask. Third form is question forms. For question forms, the formula is should plus subject plus verb. For example, should I come early to library? Jessie should be here 5 minutes ago, shouldn't she? And should can be used for many things, but today I just want to tell you about three uses of should. Okay, first, should can be used to express something that is probable. We sometimes use should to express probability. For example, can we invite Maria? She should have finished her work now. Okay, second, use can be used to show opinion or just an advice. For example, you should try this body lotion and you should use sunscreen before you go outside. The last is should can be used to obligations. For example, you should do your task before you go hang out with your friends. Okay, next is about should and would. We always use should as more formal alternative, and we use would with I and we in conditional sentence. For example, I or we should visit John's grandma because she always kind to me. I or we would visit John's grandma because she always kind to me. The last material about using should is should and ought to. Should and ought to have similar meanings and uses. Ought to is more formal and less common than should. For example, we should clean up the bathroom. We ought to clean up the bathroom. Okay, next to our second material is about using let. Let is different from let. Let is the short form let us. And let us is the first person of plural imperative, which only we use in formal situations. For example, let's share our inauguration broadcast for our senior. There are two negative forms of using let's. First is let's not. For example, let's not argue about the money. We can share the cost together. Second is don't let or do not let. For example, don't let ourselves take out the garbage. We can try live clean life. Okay, we can use full of let us not, or let us do not. But in every formal situations, such as political documents or speeches. For example, we must forgive, but let us not forget about the tragedy in our country. Okay, next to our chart material is about using have plus infinitive or have plus two, has plus two. Okay, if we use have plus two or has plus two is to express general obligations. We often use have to or has plus two to say that something obligatory. For example, Clarissa has to breakfast before go to school. Here there are four forms of have plus two or has plus two. First is affirmative form with formula subject plus have plus two or has plus two plus verb and plus complement. Example, he has to study before exam. The second is negative form with formula subject plus don't have to or doesn't have to plus verb plus complement. For example, he doesn't have to study before exam. The third form is question form with formula does or do plus subject plus have plus to plus verb plus complement. Example, does he have to study before exam? And the last form is negative question form with formula doesn't or don't plus subject plus have plus to plus verb plus complement. And the example is doesn't he have to study before exam? And we can use have plus two or has plus two with another modal auxiliary verbs, but in the fact it's not a modal verb or auxiliary verbs, because here is we can use have plus two in all tenses with all auxiliary verbs. For example, like simple future tense, she will have to work tomorrow. She for subject and will for another auxiliary verbs, and have to and then verb and then complement. And this is my last material about using must. Must have the same use like have to, but here must can only use for present and future tense. And must can be used to express obligations, give orders, and give advice. First, to express obligations. The example, the doctor must serve the patient with carefully. And next is to give orders firmly and positively, like, you must go sleep, it's midnight. The third is to give advice or recommendations. For example, you must try the spaghetti in this restaurant. And the last is to speculate about the truth of something. The example is she might be made. Okay, in this last slide, we can see that must in interrogative form. Here, must can be used in interrogative form, but many speakers choose to use have to in interrogative form. The example is like, do I have to invite Kalila? But we can use in must, like, must I invite Kalila? And we can use must in negative form too. And here there are two negative forms of using must. First, to forbid someone to do something. The example is, you must not go outside in this pandemic. And the second is to talk about events that unacceptable. For example, there mustn't be chaos in your party.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Naifa Melia, NIM 2020205033. I'm from group 10, so today I will explain you about modal auxiliary and similar expressions, the present progress and the past progressives. The present progressive and the past progressives and using will while with the past progressives. So let's get started. First, there is modal auxiliary. A modal auxiliary is a helping verb that are part of an auxiliary that add meaning to a sentence. Modal auxiliary include can, may, will, shall, must, need, ought to, dare, could, might, should, and would. Example, Anita will go to class. Expressions that are similar to modal auxiliary are be able to, be going to, and have to. Example, Anita is able to go to class. And next is modal auxiliary and similar expressions. So here there is a table and there is auxiliary. So can, we can use can for ability and polite questions. The example from ability use can is I can sing, and the example from polite questions use can is can you please help me. Next, there is could. We can use could for past ability and polite questions. So the example from past ability use could is I couldn't go to class yesterday. And the example from polite questions use could is could you please help me. Next is may. We can use may for possibility and polite questions. The example from the possibility use may is it may rain tomorrow, and the example from polite questions use may is may I help you. Next, there is might. We can use might for possibility, and the example from the possibility use might is it might rain tomorrow. Next there is must. So we can use must for necessity. The example from the necessity use must is you should see a doctor. Next, there is a will. So we can use will for future happening, and the example from the future happening use will is my sister will meet us at the airport. So next, would. So we can use would for polite questions, and the example is would you please open the door. Next, there is be able to. We can use be able to for ability, and the example is I was not able to attend the meeting. Next, there is be going to. So we can use be going to for future happening, and the example is Tina is going to meet us at the airport. And next, there is have or has to. We can use have or has to for necessity, and the example is I have to study tonight. And the last, there is have to. So we can use have to for past necessity, and the example is I had to study last night too. Next, there is the present progressive and the past progressive. The present progressive describes an activity in progress right now at the moment of speaking. And example is it's 10 now. Boris is sitting in class. And the past progressive describe an activity progress at a particular time in the past. And the example is it was 10. Boris was sitting in class. And next, there is present progressive form. So the forms of the present progressive and the past progressive consist of be plus ing. So be, there is am, is, and are. The example, it's 10. For I, we can use am. So I'm sitting in class. And the present progressive uses the present forms of be. And so for the present forms we use be. And next, there is past progressive forms. So we can use was, were plus ing. The past progressive uses the past forms of be, was, were plus ing. Example, it was 10. So for Boris, we can use was sitting in class. And for we can use were. So we were sitting in class. And the last there is using while with the past progressive. Here I have example for you. The phone rang while I was sleeping, or while I was sleeping the phone rang. While plus subject plus verb is a time clause. While I was sleeping is a time clause. A while clause describes an activity that was in progress at the time another activity happened. The verb in a while clause is often past progressive. I think enough. I hope you can understand what I explained. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm so sorry for the mistake. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dina Lorenza with name group 2020-2050-34. Here I will explain from material 9 to material 12. Okay, I'll explain the first bit of material about while versus when in past time clauses. While versus when in past time clauses. A. The most afraid while I was studying, or B. While I was studying the most afraid. The verb in a while clauses in option past, the progressive as in A and B. C. When the most afraid I was studying, or D. I was studying when the most afraid. The verb in when clauses is option simple past as in C and D. For example, while I was washing dishes last night, was is changed to was washing. So, while I was washing dishes last night. Secondly, simple past versus past progressive. A. Jen called me yesterday. B. I took for Jen for an horse last night. C. We went to Jack's house last Friday. D. What time did you get up this morning? This past simple describe activities or situation that began and ended at a particular time in the past. Or e.g. yesterday, last night. I was studying when Jen called me yesterday. F. While I was studying last night, Jen called the past progressive describer an activity that was in progressive or was happening at the time another action happened in E and F. The studying was in progress when Jen called. G. I've opened my umbrella when it began to rain. It put the when clauses and the main clauses M. Sentence are simple past. That means that the action in the when clauses happened first, and the action in the main happened second. In G, first they began to rain, second I opened umbrella. H, when the phone rang and answered it. I, when the phone rang I was studying. In H, for the phone rang, second I answered it. In I, first the studying was in progress, second the phone rang. For example, I have had a busy day yesterday. Have is changed to had, so I had a busy day yesterday. Thirdly, using have been or the present perfect situation, I came to this city on the 1st. It is now April the 1st. I'm still in this city. A. I have been here since February the 1st. B. I have been here for 2 months. Here been expressed the indicates that a situation began in the past and still exists the present. Have been is with since or for the to tell how long the situation has existed. A and B have the same meaning. Situation: Kim came to the city on January the 1st. It is now April. Kim is still in the city. C. Kim has been here since 9 o'clock. D. Kim has been here for 3 minutes. Third person singular has been as in C and D. Situation: I came to this classroom at 9 o'clock. I'm in the classroom now. It's 9:03 now. E. I have been here since 9 o'clock. F. I have been here for 3 minutes. Since followed by a specific time, since February, or specific month, since 9 o'clock, or specific clock time, since 1905, or specific year. situation and lives in another city. She came to visit me Monday morning. Now it is Friday morning. She is still here. G and has been here since Monday. H and has been here for 4 days. 4 is followed by a length of time for 2 months or number of months for 30 minutes or length of a clock for 4 days or number of days for 3 years or number of years. Finally, A. If been afraid of dogs mean closes since I was a child since closes. B. Mrs. has been a teacher since he graduated from college. Sin can be followed by a subject and verb in A. Since I was child, A. Since closes. C. She and I have been friends since we were children. Notice in the example the verb in the main clauses is present perfect. The verb in since clauses simple present. Well, that's all the material that I can convey. More and less apologize to Allah. I beg your forgiveness. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Oktri Salsabila. My ID number 2020205035. And I am from group number 10. And now I will explain about chapter 10, part 13, 14, and 15. The first material is form of the present perfect tense, and the second is using never with the present perfect, and the last is present perfect, questions and negatives. The first material is form of the present perfect. Present perfect tense refers to an action or state that either occurred at an indefinite time in the past or began in the past and continue to the present time. Form of the present perfect is subject plus have or has plus verb 3. Have used I, you, we, they, and has used she, he, it. There are several adverbs that are commonly used to express the present perfect tense, such as yet, already, just, ever, never, for, since, and etc. For example, the first, we have eaten the pizza here. We, as subject, have as to be, and eaten as verb 3. Kami sudah makan pizza di sini. The second, she has worked in the hospital for 5 years. Dia telah bekerja di rumah sakit selama 5 tahun. She, as subject, has as to be, work as verb 3. And the third, it has happened several times already. It as subject, has as to be, and happen as verb 3. The second material is using never with the present perfect. The important use of the present perfect is to talk about life experience, and to do this we use the word never. Never means at no time. Never can occupy the beginning and middle of a sentence. Not, you cannot use never and not at the same time. For example, first, I have never seen a shark. Saya belum pernah melihat hiu. And the form subject plus have plus never plus verb 3 and plus noun. The second, it has never snowed in Indonesia. Belum pernah turun salju di Indonesia. And the form subject plus has plus never plus verb 3 plus noun. And the third, you have never gone on a cruise. Have you? Anda tidak pernah pergi berlayar, bukan? And the form subject plus have plus never plus verb 3 plus noun plus question text. And the next example you can read by yourself. And the last material is present perfect, questions and negatives. 1. Present perfect questions. There are 2 kinds of question form. First, question form without question word in the present perfect tense. And the form is have or has plus subject plus verb 3. And the second is question form with question words in the present perfect. And the form is question words plus have or has plus s plus verb 3. Example, have you read the book? Sudahkah kamu membaca bukunya? Have you read the book as question form without question word. How long have they lived in Jakarta? Berapa lama mereka tinggal di Jakarta? As question form with question word. And you can read the next example by yourself. 2. Present perfect negatives. Negative form is subject plus have or has plus not plus verb 3. Not have for I we they and has for she he it. For example, she has not gone to buy them food. Dia tidak pergi untuk membelikan mereka makanan. The form is subject plus has plus not plus verb 3 plus object. And the second, I haven't eaten at that restaurant in a long time. Saya belum makan di restoran itu dalam waktu yang lama. And the form is subject plus have plus not plus verb 3 plus object. And the third, Roy hasn't finished his homework. Roy belum menyelesaikan PR-nya. And the form is subject plus has plus not plus verb 3 plus object. I think enough for my explanation. Thank you so much for watching.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dian Leila Pertiwi and my ID number is 20302051 online. And here I want to explain about my basic English grammar, and the first material is about using ever with the present perfect. The second is the present perfect question with how long, and the last one is past participles of common irregular verbs. For the first material, using ever with the present perfect. The present perfect is a very important tense in English. As you have probably already seen, it's used in a very variety of ways, which means it can take some time for English students to become familiar with it. The second important use of the present perfect is to talk about life experiences. For example, have you ever ridden a motorcycle? And the formula is have plus subject plus ever plus verb 3 plus noun. Second, have you ever taken dance classes? The formula are the same with the number 1. And for the other examples, you can read it by yourself. Okay, for the second material is about the present perfect question with how long. You can also use the present perfect tense when you want to talk about how long you have done something. It is used to talk about an action that began in the past and continues up to the present. This is the important thing to remember about using the present perfect in this situation. The activity, action, or event is still going on. It has not finished. For example, is how long has David worked for them? Berapa lama David bekerja untuk mereka? Would mean that David works for them generally and asking how does he do it. The formula is how long or many times or plus have or has plus subject plus past participle. Okay, for the last materials is about past participles of common irregular verbs. Most irregular verbs are very common in English, which means you will see or hear them often. This makes it a little easier to remember. Some common verbs are also formed from others, which means the past participles is the same. For example, is give or forgive become given or forgiven. Stand or understand become stood or understood. A few verbs don't change at all. For example, read, read, read. The pronunciation changed from the present read to the past tense and past participles read. Cut, cut, cut. No pronunciation change. Sometimes more than one ending is possible. Dream, dreamt. Learned, learned. Okay, I think enough. That's all of my material. I'm sorry if there's something wrong. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.